Everyone thinks smart people just know more. More facts, more answers, more information. But that's not what actually makes someone smart. Because if that were true, the smartest person in the world would just be the one who memorized the most. And we both know that's not how life works. You've met people who know a lot, but still make terrible decisions. And you've met people who don't talk much, but when they do, everything they say makes sense. That's the difference. It's not about what they know. It's about how they think, how they process situations, how they respond under pressure, how they handle uncertainty. That's real intelligence. And the good news, you can learn it. You don't need to be born with it. You don't need perfect grades. You don't need a high IQ score. You just need to start thinking differently. And today, I'm going to show you 5 ways smart people use their minds differently from everyone else. These aren't complicated, but they are powerful. And if you actually apply them, not just understand them, you'll start to notice something almost immediately. You'll feel calmer, you'll think clearer, and people will start seeing you differently. So let's get into it. 1, they don't fight to be right. They fight to understand. Most people hate being wrong. So when someone disagrees with them, they go into defense mode. They argue, they interrupt, they raise their voice, they try to win. Because to them, being wrong feels like losing. But smart people see it differently. To them, being wrong isn't a loss, it's an upgrade. It means they just found the gap in their thinking. So instead of fighting, they get curious. They ask questions like, why do you think that? What led you to that conclusion? What am I missing here? And here's the part most people don't realize. When you stop trying to prove people wrong, they stop trying to defend themselves. The conversation becomes open, real, productive. That's where learning happens. Smart people understand something simple but powerful. If you always need to be right, you'll stop growing. But if you're willing to be wrong, you get smarter every single time. 2, they zoom out when others zoom in. When something goes wrong, most people zoom in. They focus on the moment so much that it feels like everything. One mistake becomes, I always mess up. One rejection becomes, I'm not good enough. One bad day becomes, my life is falling apart. But smart people don't zoom in. They zoom out. They step back and look at the bigger picture. They ask, will this matter in a week? In a year? What pattern is this part of? Instead of turning problems into personal attacks, they turn them into data, information, feedback. And that changes everything. Because now the problem isn't emotional, it's logical. And logical problems can be solved. When you zoom out, you realize something important. Most problems aren't as big as they feel. They just feel big because you're too close to them. Distance creates clarity, and clarity creates better decisions. 3, they protect their mental energy like it's limited, because it is. Most people treat their attention like it's endless. They worry about everything, what people think, what might go wrong, things they can't control, things that haven't even happened yet. And by the end of the day, they're exhausted, not because they did too much, but because they thought too much about the wrong things. Smart people are different. They treat their mental energy like money, limited, valuable, worth protecting. They constantly filter their thoughts with one question: is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, they let it go. Not because they don't care, but because they understand something most people don't. Where your attention goes, your life goes. So instead of worrying about everything, they focus on what they can control: their actions, their habits, their effort, their mindset. And because of that, they have more energy left to actually improve their lives. 4, they're comfortable with silence, and that makes them powerful. Silence makes most people uncomfortable, so they fill it. They talk too much, they interrupt, they say things they didn't even think through, because silence feels awkward. Smart people don't see silence as awkward. They see it as a tool. They use it to think, to observe, to understand. They don't rush to respond. They pause. And that pause does something powerful. It gives their brain time to catch up with the moment. It turns reaction into intention. And it also changes how others see them. Because when someone is quiet, people listen more when they finally speak. Their words carry weight, not because they talk a lot, but because they don't waste words. Here's something simple you can try. Next time someone asks you something, pause for 3 seconds. Think, then answer. It will feel slow to you, but to everyone else, it will feel thoughtful. And that changes everything. 5, they create a gap between stimulus and response. This is the biggest difference of all. Most people react instantly. Something happens and they respond immediately. No thinking, no pause, just reaction. And that's where most mistakes happen. Smart people don't remove emotion. They create space, a small gap between what happens and how they respond. In that gap, they ask, what's the best way to handle this? What outcome do I actually want? What response will I respect later? And that changes everything, because now they're not controlled by the moment. They're choosing their response. And the person who chooses their response controls their life. Think about it. Anyone can react. It takes intelligence to respond. Here's what most people never realize. Being smart isn't about knowing everything. It's about thinking clearly when it matters most. It's about staying calm in chaos, seeing patterns instead of problems, choosing responses instead of reacting automatically. Most people never learn this. They stay stuck in the same patterns, arguing, overthinking, reacting, repeating. But if you practice these 5 habits, you break that cycle. And here's what will start to happen. You'll notice things faster. You'll make better decisions. You'll stay calm in situations that used to stress you out. People will start trusting your judgment. They'll come to you for advice, not because you know everything, but because you think differently. Now here's what you should do. Don't try to change everything at once. That's how people fail. Pick one habit, just one. Focus on it for the next 7 days. Maybe it's pausing before reacting. Maybe it's asking questions instead of arguing. Maybe it's letting go of things you can't control. Start small, because small changes in thinking create massive changes in your life over time. At the end of the day, intelligence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one thought at a time, one response at a time, one habit at a time. And now you know exactly where to start.